Hi everybody, Brian from Summit here, and we have a variety of project cars that come through our shop here. And every little project we do, we use various tools and different techniques to try to get these cars, built, the upgrade path as we call it. In this case, we're going to show you today a little bit about fender rolling. In this case, what we're going to start off with is our Tesla Model 3 dual motor. It has an Eibach Pro Kit on it, meaning it's lowered about an inch, has some lowering springs on it with some sway bars, and we put some 275 BFG rivals on some Ford Star wheels on it. And the only problem with it is on the driver's side of the car, it was able to clear. It wasn't biting in, to the edge of the fender, but on this side, it only achieved about negative 0.6 degree of camber. So what we should have done is used our fender roller to begin with. So we knew it was going to be close, and it was just close enough to take off the tread blocks. What this device does, it's the Summit Fender Roller, and it basically bolts to the hub, and it's adjustable, so we can adjust that roller over there to take off just the right amount at just the right angle, to do it very slowly, to be able to roll the fender out and take the sharp edge out without actually hurting the paint, cracking the paint. It's not a fast process. It's actually a slow process. You want to do a little bit of it at a time. The other key tool, and probably even more important than the fender roller, was the heat gun. You're going to want to keep a temperature between 130, maximum of 150 degrees on the paint there, just enough to soften it up. We have a laser temp gun to make sure that we're maintaining that because the heat dissipates pretty quick. We're only going to do a few inches at a time, maybe 4 to 5 inches, and then come back, heat it up again, come back, and we're going to adjust this roller every time. So we're not going to just start off with the roller completely flat and shove the fender out. That is not going to work. It's definitely going to break things. We're going to start off at an angle. We're going to take that 90-degree piece of sheet metal and bend it up a little bit, bend it up some more. And so we're going to do it in 3 to 4 stages. You have to be aware, and you need to check this before you buy the tool. In the back, sometimes the inner fenders are welded to the fenders, and it's a big square box section back that you're not going to move that. The other part is, there's 2-wheel drive cars, 4-wheel drive cars, there's electric cars like ours. We're going to show you the proper way on how to, basically get the car up in the air a little bit, set the tool, set the angle, and then, show you the before and after. Please, for more content like this, please like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that fun stuff. We'll make sure that we give you the part number for the tools that we use in this video. And with that, we're going to get the car up in the air. All right, so we have the car up in the air, and we put the tool on the hub there. This tool is pretty easy to use, and it's a really good value. And it's got the roller over here that's going to do the nice job of rolling the fender without marring things. It's adjustable for angle here. So in other words, like the final sweep I might make might be to actually kind of like close the lip up further, but the very first one I do is going to be something closer to 45 degrees. I just lock that down with this. Bolting it up there is really simple. There's a couple different bolt patterns here, but the tool itself is fairly adaptable. It comes with these washers here that just kind of fit like so over the studs, and those zap on really easy. All right, so we are basically set to go now. This is the adjustment here. I've got the adjustment knob for that. That's actually where you keep the washers, is on this part when not in use. But what we're going to do is actually mark the space on the fender that we have to go. We're cheating here a little bit because we actually know it touches here and we know it touches here. The reason why it's not square in the middle is because cars have caster, and that means that inclination across the back is going to be something closer to 6 to 7 degrees. So if you even look at the spindle, you can see that here is going to be the center point, and it's going to have a sweep from here to here. We're going to go ahead and mark that with some tape, and go ahead and start taking our first bites. It's really simple. We're just basically going to run it up here, move the tool out like so, and do our work. So with that, we'll go ahead and tape it up and go. All right, so talking about the different types of fenders out there, we're really lucky with this one. Sometimes you're going to have to pull the fender liner loose. In this case, we don't really have to. They actually tuck it up out of the way enough that we're not going to have to mess with that, but usually you will. And also, this angle is usually more 90 degrees and squared. So if you would imagine that roller trying to hit that, it's trying to push the entire fender out, which is going to want to crack paint around in this area. This already is bent up at maybe a 30-degree angle. We're going to take it to 45 and 70, but it's this little edge right there that is biting into the edges of our tires. It's taking 3 millimeters off, and we don't want that. All right, so we talked about the shop being here in the great Summit shop. I mean, this place is like Garage Mahal, but the tools that we have in here are not all that expensive. And for instance, there are a lot of videos that you might watch where people are asking like, well, what temperature do I use to keep the paint from, either bubbling or cracking? There's a fine line in there of about 130, maybe 150 degrees maximum Fahrenheit, that you want to have that paint. That makes it pliable so it's not going to crack. And at the same time, it's not so hot that the thing is going to blister. The other thing is when you have the heat gun on it, you don't want to be too close and let it just sit in there too long. You're going to want to have this thing back about 4 or 5 inches. But just buy the $30 gun and our $36 Porter cable heat gun here, and it's going to make your life a lot easier. You will find uses for these things around the garage. All right, folks, so when I started this job, I had it up on the lift, and the weird thing was with the suspension in full droop, it wanted to touch down here and here, but it didn't want to come right up in the middle. So what I did is I lowered the car, I put the jack stand down underneath the spindle so the suspension was in full compression. All right, so now I had the thing so it would do a sweep, pretty much replicating as it would on the street. The other interesting thing about this is this part actually is a little bit closer than this part. So I actually took more off this than I would off here for any given sweep. So it was pretty cool in terms of how it worked. I started off not knowing if I was actually doing that much at all, but I just kept doing it. And the other big thing was I would just count it off in half rounds, like make a few sweeps, heat it up, come back, do another few sweeps. Going half a turn at a time makes everything incremental, so you know that you're kind of sneaking up on it. The temperature, it was not easy to keep anything at 130 degrees. At the same time, I was kind of pleasantly surprised that it didn't just start off at 135 and just fall off to 95 right away either. So I'd go up to about 150 and it'd drop off to 135, do my sweeps, go up to 150, do my sweeps. By the time I was done, it dropped down to 135. 135 is a good middle of the road target. So if you want to see more great content like that, we'll have all the part numbers here in the comments and up on the screen. And please like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that fun stuff, and we'll take you on to the next project.